Hello, and welcome to American History Mysteries. I'm your host, Kira Tomchek, and today we will be discussing the infamous unsolved murder case of Jon Benet Ramsey. Jon Benet Ramsey was a well-known 6-year-old pageant queen in the 1990s and was found tragically murdered on December 26, 1996. Jon Benet was born August 6, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia. She was the youngest in the family to her older brother, Burke Ramsey, who was 9 at the time of her death. Burke and Jonbenet were the children to John and Patricia Patsy Ramsey. Jonbenet was a Southern belle that loved pageants just as much as her mother Patsy had as a youth. At the age of 6, Jonbenet had already achieved 5 pageantry titles, including National Tiny Miss Beauty, Little Miss Colorado, Little Miss Charlevoix, Colorado State All-Star Kids Cover Girl, and America's Royal Miss. Thumper Gosney, former Little Miss Texas and childhood friend of Jonbenet, stated, "Jonbenet was the nicest girl. She was very poised in all of her things she did." The Ramsey family lived in a wealthy neighborhood in Boulder, Colorado, a college town to the University of Colorado Boulder, right at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. The Ramseys lived in a 15-room mansion due to the enormous success of John Ramsey's computer business, Access Graphics. John was even rewarded Entrepreneur of the Year near the time of his daughter's death. Along with John, Patsy was also an elite in the social world. Patsy was born in West Virginia in 1956 and became a famous pageant queen by winning Miss West Virginia in 1977 at the age of 20. Patsy was known for entertaining others and always decorating her house for holidays, insisting on Christmas trees in every room. The Ramseys loved the holiday season so much that they were out at a party the night before Jonbenet's death. On the night of December 25, 1996, John and Patsy came home from a party and had returned late at night to their sleeping children, Burke and Jonbenet. The two claimed they tucked their kids into bed and fell asleep shortly afterwards. However, on the morning of December 26, the Silent Night had awakened by horror. Patsy was the first to wake up and found a 3-page ransom note at the foot of their spiral staircase. As soon as she read it, she stormed upstairs to her daughter's room, yelling for her husband and son to come quickly. Jonbenet was not in her room, which caused the family to call 911 in a panic. They all assumed the 6-year-old had been kidnapped and did not search the house for her. The behavior of the parents was very questionable, especially after they had contacted 911. Patsy Ramsey had called friends and family to come over only minutes after getting off the phone with police. She wanted everyone over so that nobody missed out on the tragic story unfolding. When the police arrived, they asked if John or Patsy had searched the house and told John to go look for her. This was when John went to the basement and found the dead body of his daughter. Jonbenet had been found with her arms taped over her head, with duct tape across her mouth, and her body was partly underneath a blanket. John immediately picked his daughter up, which interfered with evidence and the crime scene. He took the tape off of Jonbenet's mouth and wrapped her in another blanket while walking upstairs to the rest of the investigation. Patsy said in an interview that as soon as she saw her lifeless child, she rested her head against her cheek and only felt the cold of a corpse. Since finding the body, the autopsies have shown that Jonbenet had been sexually abused for quite some time. There was also DNA of an unidentified male found inside of her underwear, which did not match the DNA of either of her parents. Jonbenet had also been having yeast infections and other genital area medical issues before her death, which also raises suspicion on whether or not she was continuously sexually abused. After investigators found Jonbenet's body, questions rose surrounding the 3-page long ransom note. The ransom note had been written before and practiced. There was a rough draft found in the family home, and it had been written on Patsy's notepad from her desk with her own pen. Law enforcement questioned why an intruder would spend so much time on writing a ransom note and why they would use a notepad from the victim's family. Another suspicious aspect of the note was that the total the murderer was asking for in return for Jonbenet was $118,000. This amount of money was approximately the same exact amount that John Ramsey was getting for his holiday bonus that year. The note was very personalized, and whoever had committed the crime knew specific details about the Ramsey family. Coming up next, we'll talk about the numerous theories surrounding who killed Jonbenet Ramsey and if her family was actually involved in the murder. Stay tuned after this short break.
At the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, we're passionate about learning. Our talented faculty members blend teaching with research, creating hands-on learning experiences for students. Warhawk Pride thrives at UW-Whitewater, where student athletes excel on the field and in the classroom, where diversity is celebrated. A tradition of excellence 140 years in the making. Find your passion here.
At the University Bookstore, we have an excellent selection of competitively priced books and classroom necessities for students. We have Warhawk gear ranging from athletic apparel to comfy sweatshirts the whole family can enjoy. The textbook rental service is also available for students to check out their required readings for class. You can also find and order books, apparel, and gift items from our online catalog, located at uwwhitewaterbookstore.com. The University Bookstore, we provide for your college experiences.
Impact is an LGBT organization here on campus. It allows individuals with any identity to come together in a safe space to provide education and awareness of LGBT issues for the community. Some campus events that Impact hosts are the Second Chance Dance, Coming Out Day, and the Drag Show. For more information, stop by the Pride Center located in the Warhawk Connection Center in the UC, or visit our Facebook or Instagram pages for more information or our meeting times.
And come down to Warhawk Alley in the University Center. We have everything you need to take a break from your studies and have a great time. So come blow off some steam with our air hockey, darts, foosball, video games, 8 top-of-the-line Brunswick pool tables, and our 10-lane bowling alley. We have nightly specials, blacklight bowling, tournaments, and tons of chances to win prizes. For more information or to set up a reservation, call Warhawk Alley at 262-472-5681.
Welcome back to American History Mysteries. My name is Karr Tomczyk, and we are diving into who committed the infamous murder of pageant child Jon Benet Ramsey. The first suspects that we'll be looking into are the most obvious, the parents of Jon Benet, Jon and Patsy Ramsey. Now, we already know that the Ransom Note contained almost the same exact amount of Jon Ramsey's holiday bonus, but the handwriting of the Ransom Note is possibly the most questionable. Back when the investigation first broke in 1996, both Jon and Patsy Ramsey cooperated with law enforcement and offered handwriting samples for comparison. However, there were many similarities in Patsy's handwriting and the killer's handwriting. Nothing came out of it. Until recently. In 2016, Sheena Wong, a handwriting expert, compared the Ransom Note to 100 examples of Patsy's handwriting dating back to the year 2000. This manuscript had extremely similar qualities compared to the Ransom Note. For example, Patsy had 4 different ways of writing the letter A, as did the killer in the same 4 ways. Wong found 200 similarities between the killer's handwriting and the 100 examples of Patsy's handwriting. Sheena Wong appeared in 2016 on ABC's 2020 and showcased her evidence to the public. Another aspect of the case that raised eyebrows was the fact that there were red fibers of Patsy's blazer she had worn the night before the murder found on the duct tape covering Jon Benet's mouth. Despite the overwhelming evidence indicating Patsy's involvement in the case, Patsy is no longer available to defend herself as she passed away from ovarian cancer in June of 2006. Is Jon Benet Ramsey's brother, Burke Ramsey, who was 9 at the time of his sister's death. After the death of his sister, Burke stayed out of the public eye for obvious reasons as he was just an adolescent. However, he was questioned by a child psychologist soon after the murder had taken place, and his behavior during that interview was quite interesting. Burke was asked if he knew what had happened to his sister, and he replied with, "I know exactly what happened to her. I think that someone took her very quietly and took her down to the basement, and he took a knife out and whoops her like that," making a stabbing motion while explaining the action. Burke also said in his interview with the child psychologist that he thought his mother was overreacting to the news of Jon Benet being kidnapped or possibly murdered. The whole interview included Burke sitting with his legs up on the sofa, very comfortable-like, with no emotion in his interactions. After 20 years of isolation from the media, Burke Ramsey finally spoke out in 2016 on the Dr. Phil show about the night his sister was murdered. Burke insisted he was innocent the whole program and even stated, "I don't know what to say to that because I know that's not what happened. There have been people who have said that it's not even physically possible for a 9-year-old to do that. Like, you won't find any evidence because I didn't do it." referring to hitting Jonbenet over the head with a flashlight located at the crime scene. Burke Ramsey was smiling the whole interview with Dr. Phil. However, Dr. Phil has come out in his defense, stating that his body language just indicated that he was nervous about being on national television. However, theorists still think Burke could have had involvement in the murder, since the marks on Jonbenet's neck lined up perfectly with a set of train tracks found in the basement that belonged to Burke Ramsey. I don't claim it's fact though, because Burke Ramsey filed a $120 million defamation lawsuit against Spitz and a $509 million lawsuit against CBS for accusing him of murder in their documentary, The Case of Jonbenet Ramsey. So please don't sue me, Burke. Now, the last suspect in the Jonbenet Ramsey case is John Mark Karr. Karr was a registered sex offender and was even a high school teacher with teenage kids of his own. Karr openly confessed to the murder of the 6-year-old pageant queen and even said that he was with her the night of the murder. Due to this case opening confession, Karr was arrested in Thailand, where he had fled because of previous child pornography charges. The Boulder Police Department questioned Karr and performed DNA tests on him, which all came back negative. Karr's ex-wife even announced that he was not in Boulder, Colorado at the time of the murder, but was in fact in Alabama during the Christmas season of 1996. The police dropped Karr's charges related to the Ramsey case because it was revealed that his confession had been false. That's it for this week's episode of American History Mysteries. I'm Karr Tomchuk, and I'll see you next time right back here on UWW-TV.